OpenSim? It's like the urban legend of the Metaverse. You hear whispers in forums, see it dropped in comment threads, this mythical place where you can build your own world, run it your way, and never pay a cent in rent. Some call it a creative paradise. Others say it's a ghost town held together by duct tape and borrowed content. For the longest time, I couldn't figure out what the hell it actually was. So I did what any curious, slightly suspicious digital resident would do. I went in. And before we start, a few warnings. When I started writing about OpenSim, I thought this would be a light virtual tour, not a full-blown investigative doc. I was wrong. It got intense. There's drama, ethics, tech confusion, and some virtual identity crises. The video is longer than I planned. Sorry, your coffee might go cold. But honestly, I still feel like I've only scratched the surface. If you're expecting a tutorial, lower your expectations. If you're here for nuance, a few laughs, and the occasional virtual side-eye, welcome. And if you've got stories, insights, or just want to throw pixel coffee at my inbox about OpenSim, don't be shy. I might just do a follow-up if there's enough to unpack, which there probably is. What is OpenSim really? How does it work? And is it the digital dream some make it out to be, or just a beautifully broken idea held together by idealism and duct tape? Let's start with the basics. What's a region exactly? Before we go any further, let's break down something fundamental. In OpenSim and Second Life, a region, mostly called a sim, or even referred to as a grid in casual conversation, though technically a grid is the larger network of regions, is a 256 by 256 meter square of virtual land. Think of it as a plot in a massive digital world. You can build on it, terraform it, host events, script interactions, and invite others to visit. Some people link multiple sims together to form continents or themed zones. But at the core, everything is built on these modular chunks of land. It's like Lego, but each brick is the size of a football field. This is very different from platforms like IMVU, where you bounce between chat rooms and scenes, or VR chat, where you enter isolated worlds that don't persist. Even Minecraft uses its own blocky, procedurally generated terrain, not region-based at all. So when people say you can own a region or a sim in OpenSim, they mean you control an entire buildable slice of the virtual world, your own server-powered sandbox. So, what is OpenSim anyway? Open Simulator, OpenSim for short, is an open source platform that lets you build and run your own 3D online world. Think avatars, houses, dance clubs, classrooms, art galleries, nudist beaches, you name it. You can walk around, chat, change your look, and live out your digital alter ego. If you know Second Life, OpenSim is basically the DIY version. It often uses the same viewer, like Firestorm, and it looks similar, but under the hood it's very different. Here's the simplest way to think about it. Second Life is like a big hotel. Linden Lab owns the building, manages the rooms, and sets the rules. You rent space, follow their terms, and hope they don't hike the rent. OpenSim is Airbnb for virtual worlds. You can run your own grid, decorate how you like, set your own rules, even build your own economy. No landlord breathing down your neck. It's not one big world. It's a patchwork of user-run grids. Some are public and social, others private or purpose-driven like schools, research groups, or secret vampire cults. Upsides? Dirt cheap land, full control, and massive creative freedom. Downsides? Fewer users, clunkier tech, and a pretty serious piracy problem. Still, if you've ever wanted to build your own metaverse or escape someone else's, OpenSim might just be your kind of chaos. Why isn't everyone doing this then? If OpenSim is so open, so cheap, so gloriously landlord-free, why isn't it packed with people? Simple. Freedom comes with homework. OpenSim lets you build your dream world, but it won't hold your hand. There's no central grid pulling everyone together. You pick a grid, create your avatar, hope the viewer behaves, and pray your destination doesn't look like it's been stuck in 2006. And if you're a creator, forget steady income or IP protection. Second Life has a built-in economy and some guardrails, flimsy as they may be. OpenSim gives you freedom and zero guarantees. Your mesh item could end up on 12 other grids faster than you can say freebie box. Then there's the silence. Many grids are quiet. Tumbleweed on a Tuesday quiet. Some are kept alive for niche groups, educators, researchers, or one determined user with a castle from 2014. It can feel like wandering through a gorgeous but abandoned mall. Beautiful builds. No one at the food court. The tech is not plug and play. Some hosts make setup easier, but if you're used to logging in and clicking teleport, grid hopping can feel finicky at best. So yes, OpenSim could be the indie darling of the metaverse. But right now, it's more like a brilliant, chaotic idea you only fall in love with after surviving the learning curve and a grid crash or two. The Hypergrid is virtual world hopping for the brave and curious. One thing OpenSim has that Second Life doesn't: interworld travel. It's called the Hypergrid, and it's the metaverse version of a passport. In OpenSim, if both grids are Hypergrid enabled, you can literally teleport there. No relogging, no permissions, just go. In theory, it's amazing. Jump from your sim to a public dance party on another grid. Visit a medieval RP village, then hop over to a sci-fi sim for a laser duel. Bring your avatar clothes and mostly your inventory. But as with everything OpenSim, freedom comes with quirks. Some grids block or limit access. Assets may not fully load or transfer. There's no unified map, just directories, bookmarks, or note cards. And identity gets weird. There's no universal account. Are you you on every grid or just passing through? Reputation, community, and trust all reset when you move. Still, if you like the idea of a real metaverse, where teleporting doesn't mean starting over, the Hypergrid is the closest thing we've got. It's messy, it's inconsistent, it's brilliant. Why do I say it's brilliant then? Because conceptually, it is. It's what the metaverse was supposed to be before it got corporatized and rebranded as a Zoom call in a headset. It lets you move freely between worlds like websites, just with avatars instead of URLs. You get to keep your identity across platforms, kind of, without needing 10 different logins and outfits. It encourages smaller, more niche grids to thrive, while still connecting them to a bigger picture. So yes, it's brilliant. Just don't expect it to be pretty out of the box. What makes Hypergrid travel different from regular teleporting? If you're from Second Life or another virtual world, you might be wondering what makes Hypergrid travel different from regular teleport. Imagine this. Without Hypergrid, every grid is an island, no boats. You'd need a new avatar, new wardrobe, new everything, every time. With Hypergrid, you can teleport from OSgrid to Kaiteli or DigiWorlds and keep your avatar, clothes, even your attachments, mostly intact. It's like teleporting, from Second Life into IMVU and then into Avatar Life without logging out or losing your hair. That's the magic. No other major platform does that. Not Second Life, not IMVU, not Meta Horizons, not VR Chat. They're all gated gardens. Hypergrid, it's a smuggler's tunnel under the garden walls. Sometimes glitchy, always bold, and exactly the kind of messy innovation the metaverse should be. The price of virtual land. Why is OpenSim dirt cheap and Second Life still a mortgage? Let's talk numbers. In OpenSim, you can get a full region. Yes, a full-blown 256 by 256 meter sim for anywhere from free to maybe $10 to $20 a month, depending on the grid and whether you're self-hosting or using a provider. In some cases, you can even get multiple regions for that price. Unlimited prims, full control, terraform, till your heart's content. Compare that to Second Life, where a full region will cost you around $295 per month, plus a $349 setup fee, unless you're grandfathered in or running a promotion. And that's not even touching the tiered pricing, homesteads, premium perks, or the mental gymnastics required to calculate land impact. So naturally you start asking the question, if OpenSim can do all this for peanuts, why is Second Life still charging premium rates for early 2000s tech? Is the tech that different? Not really. OpenSim is a fork of the same foundational code, and visually it can look nearly identical, especially if half the stuff on OpenSim grids is just Second Life content that's been copy-botted and rezzed into place. You've got regions, avatars, inventory systems, building tools, even LSL scripting. Same core mechanics, wildly different pricing models. So what are you paying for in Second Life? Infrastructure? Sure. Linden Lab runs stable servers, but so do many OpenSim hosts. Support? Sometimes, if you're premium and patient. Community? That's the big one. The user base, the creators, the economy, the events, the social glue that makes Second Life feel alive. Brand loyalty or inertia? A lot of that too. Executive salaries north of $237,000? Apparently. Second Life isn't a platform anymore. It's a platform and a business model. One that was built in an era where the idea of owning virtual land was revolutionary. OpenSim came later, with none of the overhead and none of the profit motive baked in. But here's the thing. Users don't always care about server maintenance or corporate overhead. They care that $295 a month is more than their real-life rent in some places. They care that cheaper options exist, and some of them are starting to notice. Where OpenSim actually works: classrooms, campuses, and controlled chaos. While profit-driven creators tend to steer clear, educators have been quietly thriving in OpenSim for years. Universities, schools, training centers, even government agencies use it to build custom virtual environments without the steep costs or platform constraints. No surprise adult content mid-lecture. No sudden policy changes. Just control, privacy, and affordability. Virtual campuses, reenactments, medical training, even language immersion. These aren't showy builds, but they work. And because most of these education grids are closed to the public, there's no trolling, no shopping chaos, and no pressure to keep up with virtual fashion trends. It's not about looking cool. It's about creating spaces that serve a purpose. What really makes it work is the flexibility. Educators can tweak the code to suit their needs. They've built custom bots, interactive assignments, even voice-enabled NPCs, tools you'd never get in a locked-down platform. So if you're looking for a place where OpenSim isn't just surviving but quietly delivering serious value, education's where it's happening. Could someone build another Second Life on OpenSim? Technically, yes. Here's the uncomfortable truth. You can build another Second Life using OpenSim. And some people have tried. The tech is there. The bones are the same. You've got regions, avatars, building tools, scripts, inventory, group systems, even currencies if you set them up. You can host shopping events, sell rentals, run dance clubs, build adult RP scenes, the entire lifestyle. So, in theory, yes. Anyone with enough time, skill, and server power could spin up a fully functioning virtual world that looks and behaves like Second Life without paying a cent to Linden Lab. That's basically what Avatar Life is trying to do. And while they're not exactly knocking it out of the park, the idea isn't wrong. What OpenSim lacks is cohesion. It doesn't have the polish, the population, or the deep creator ecosystem that Second Life cultivated over 2 decades. Second Life didn't just offer tools, it trained a generation of 3D creators, animators, and scripters who now could, if they wanted to, build their own empires elsewhere. Some are starting to, quietly, experimentally. But until a grid offers real community, consistent traffic, and a working economy, it will be hard to tempt the masses, or the makers, to jump ship. Because there's always a but. So far, OpenSim sounds pretty great, right? Build your own world, travel between grids, dirt cheap land, creative freedom. It checks a lot of boxes. But there's a dark side, one that quietly undermines everything good about the platform. Because with all that freedom comes one major problem OpenSim still hasn't solved: content theft, and lots of it. But it's not as simple as OpenSim is full of stolen content. Most of the copybotting happens on open grids that have Hypergrid enabled. Because once you allow inter-grid travel, you also open the door for people to hop in, grab assets, and hop back out. Private grids that don't allow Hypergrid access are a different story. They're harder to exploit. You can't just teleport in, scrape the place, and disappear. But public grids, it's often a free-for-all. And if you're a digital creator or a 3D content maker who depends on your work for income, that's terrifying. There's no unified DMCA process, no global asset protections, no way to track who's using what where. You might upload your item to one grid and see it reappear, credit-free, on 5 others by the end of the week. This is why most serious creators avoid OpenSim, or at best they treat it like a sandbox, a place to experiment, not to sell. Because even if you set permissions, enforce licensing, and add disclaimers, there's no guarantee any of it will stick beyond your own grid's borders. Until that changes, OpenSim will remain a risky place for anyone who depends on their work to make a living. Preservation or piracy? Depends who you ask. What exactly is getting stolen and why does it keep happening? Let's talk about the elephant in the grid: pirated content. A lot of what you'll find on public OpenSim grids, especially the freebie-heavy ones, is stuff originally created for Second Life. We're talking mesh furniture, clothing, animations, entire buildings. Some of it was shared with permission. A lot of it wasn't. It's the digital equivalent of a thrift store that doesn't ask where the donations came from. The argument you'll hear from long-time OpenSim users goes something like this: I'm not stealing. I'm preserving content that would have been lost otherwise. And look, there's some truth to that. Plenty of Second Life creators have left the platform, shut down their stores, or lost their work when regions vanished. In that sense, OpenSim has become a kind of digital graveyard/museum. You'll find older content that you can't get anywhere else. Just no one asked the original artists if they wanted it there. But let's not sugarcoat it. A lot of OpenSim content is straight up copy-botted, and because there's no central authority or real enforcement, it's nearly impossible to do anything about it. This creates a weird ethical grey zone. Is it okay to keep old content alive when the creator is gone? What if they're not gone? Just trying to make a living on Second Life or another grid. Does the free and open philosophy justify bypassing creator consent? It's messy. And if OpenSim ever wants real creators to engage with it long term, this culture of found content has to be addressed because there's a fine line between preservation and exploitation. And OpenSim straddles it with both feet. I landed in a club and my avatar was a full-blown grey mess. First thought? Oh great, I've time-traveled back to a Second Life club in 2008. Everyone around me looked like classic avatars, flexy hair flapping in the virtual breeze, blocky shapes, and that unmistakable mid-2000s shine. One avatar looked halfway decent, likely wearing mesh, but the rest, straight up 2006 energy. So I asked in local chat, "Hey, how do I make a decent avatar here?" Someone helpfully dropped me a bunch of landmarks, basically location bookmarks. Think digital addresses for specific stores or regions. Off I went. First stop, a store handing out Larax and Petite X bodies for free, except they'd ripped off all creator credits. The HUD was mangled, fonts changed, redelivery and contact tabs gone, and it barely worked. It was like someone hot glued the interface back together. Next, Lelutka heads on offer like they'd fallen off the back of a digital truck. And here's the strange part. If these bodies and heads are just sitting there, free and ready to wear, why did almost everyone still look like they crawled out of 2006? Classic avatars everywhere, squarish limbs, default walk animations, the kind of flexy hair that moves like seaweed in a blender. Maybe people don't know how to update. Maybe they don't care. Or maybe, after years of scrounging from freebie boxes, you just stop trying. Then there's the context most people outside of Second Life wouldn't know. Maitreya and Lelutka aren't just random mesh brands. They're two of the biggest names in avatar design. Premium, coveted, not free. Seeing their products handed out in a corner store on OpenSim without credit or functionality was like walking into a flea market and seeing designer handbags with the logos scratched off. By then, I was just rubbernecking. So I wandered into a furniture store, fully expecting chaos. And chaos delivered. There it was, a lounge chair from Lelu, a good moaning couch, and right next to it, a chair I recognized instantly. The latest one Good Moaning had just released. And I mean just. Like, this year, new. I've interviewed Aglaya, the mind behind Good Moaning. I know how long that chair took her to create. It wasn't some kit bash or retextured template. It was months of full-time, obsessive work. Building, testing, animating, scripting. That chair is rent. That chair is groceries. That chair is survival. So yeah, I'm biased. I come from Second Life. I know the creators. I've talked to them. I've seen the burnout, the theft, the DMCAs that go nowhere. For most of them, this isn't fun. It's work. Creative work, but still work. But what really hit me is this. I don't think all the people picking up those freebies even realize they're stolen. And the ones who do? Maybe they think creators don't deserve to be paid at all. I had a conversation with Carrie, the creator of Zooby Babies and Pets. I asked her if her scripted systems could even function on OpenSim. Her answer was blunt. They've already been copybotted. But what people get is just the 3D model, the outer shell. The actual code, the scripting, the systems that make them work, that can't be stolen. Not easily. So why bother copying it at all? According to Carrie, it's often so someone can slap a half-working script into it and resell a broken, stripped-down version that barely functions, something that looks right in a store photo, but sits there like a doll with no soul once you buy it. The goal isn't quality. It's the illusion of having something valuable, sold for a few dollars to someone who doesn't know the difference. The toll of theft on creators. I sent Aglaya a screenshot, and as soon as she saw it, she replied, "It makes me sick, because altogether, sofa, bed, shower, and chair, that's like 2 years of my life, full time." This isn't just virtual content, it's her livelihood, and to see it stripped of credit, functionality, and slapped into a store with a note card saying, "Do not resell," as if that alone makes it ethical, was gutting. When I asked if she had any recourse, her answer was painfully clear. OpenSim is made of countless independently run simulators. To take action, she'd have to file a DMCA with each one, and even then, most wouldn't respond. Aglaya registers her work with the Agency for Program Protection, APP, which helps inside Second Life. But in OpenSim, it's different. In France, registering or filing a complaint exposes your real name publicly on a government database. Unlike countries where creators can stay anonymous, French law puts her at personal risk. Even if she wanted to take legal action, she'd be risking her safety for what would likely amount to one minor takedown, while dozens more copies remain unchecked. She summed it up simply. The laws would say, make a DMCA, but in this case, it would be dozens or hundreds. It would be an endless process. Aglaya expected this might happen one day. That doesn't make it easier. "This is my job," she told me. "Not just the object, but the animations, the scripting, the testing, months of work." So when people say OpenSim is better because it's free, I ask, free for who? Because someone paid for that content, with time, skill, and rent. If OpenSim wants to grow beyond being a dumping ground for half-broken freebies, it has to start treating creators like humans, not vending machines. Dutchie didn't mince words when I asked her about OpenSim. Like many Second Life creators, she's seen her work appear on OpenSim grids without her permission. She's contacted grid owners. Most didn't reply. Some acted like it was fair game. That told her everything she needed to know. Until there's real, enforceable content protection and a reliable income model, OpenSim will remain a no-go zone for me. The requests to bring Dutchie products to OpenSim haven't stopped, nor have the pleas to do something about the theft. But as she put it is no use. The theft isn't just about losing sales. It erodes trust. It chips away at the joy of creating. As Dutchie said, over time, it changes you. You become more guarded, not just about OpenSim, but about the entire ecosystem. Creators like her aren't giant corporations. They're independent artists trying to make a living. "We're not getting rich from this," she added. "That's exactly why it hurts so much to see it treated like it has no value. And in many cases, it's not just theft, it's erasure. The names are removed, credits stripped, entire HUDs altered to erase the original creator. They take the body and kill the soul of the product. How exactly does content from Second Life end up in OpenSim? It's just tech and a bit of moral flexibility. See, Second Life's viewer is open source. That's how we got great tools like Firestorm and Alchemy. But open source means anyone can look under the hood, and they have. Over the years, people figured out how to intercept the data your viewer downloads, the mesh, textures, animations, everything needed to render what you see in world. Normally that data just sits temporarily on your machine, but with the right tools, copybot viewers, you can save those files permanently. Then you can upload them somewhere else, say OpenSim. And once it's there, you're not dealing with Linden Lab anymore. OpenSim is a decentralized patchwork of grids. No central rules, no single point of enforcement. If your stolen sofa lands on one grid, it can be exported with an OAR file and show up on 5 more by lunch. Now you might be asking the very reasonable question, why doesn't Second Life do something about this? Why don't they lock it down like IMVU or literally any game where content isn't leaking like a rusty tap? Here's the messy truth. Second Life's viewer being open source was part of its philosophy, community-driven, modifiable. But that decision came with baggage, and now it's nearly impossible to walk it back. Linden Lab could create their own closed viewer and block third-party ones, but doing that would piss off a huge chunk of the user base who rely on Firestorm and others for basic usability. Firestorm's still the most popular viewer for a reason. If Linden Lab tried to block it, the backlash would be brutal, and they know it. They also can't really stop copybotting tools without making Second Life itself unrecognizable. The system simply wasn't built with modern DRM in mind. No encryption, no watermarking, no account-level verification when you upload content. It's a bit like trying to install a high-security alarm system in a house with no roof. Too little too late. And unlike platforms like IMVU, you can't log into Second Life through a walled garden app. It's not built that way. Second Life is both platform and playground, and once something's rendered to your viewer, it's technically in your hands. So could they do more? Probably. Should they? Absolutely. But the reality is, patching 20-year-old architecture is hard. And the viewer ecosystem, for better or worse, is part of the problem and the user experience. In the meantime, creators are the ones paying the price. Their work gets downloaded, re-uploaded, redistributed, and there's no real way to stop it once it's loose. It's a jurisdictional nightmare. Some servers are hosted in places where copyright law is basically optional. And even if you do all of that, there's nothing stopping the same person from uploading the same content somewhere else the next day. There's no DRM, no account verification, no barrier to entry. You can watermark your mesh, hide scripts, booby-trap HUDs with nonsense code. Doesn't matter. They're not stealing the logic. They're grabbing the raw data, the visual shell, the thing people see and click on. And once it's in the wild, it's impossible to put back in the box. So yeah, when people say, just report it, creators here, just climb Everest in Crocs. Who really lives in OpenSim? OpenSim isn't some monolith of villains ripping off Second Life. It's a mix of people, just like anywhere else. You've got the ones who know damn well they're using stolen content and genuinely don't care. They'll justify it however they can. It's just pixels. It's not hurting anyone, or my personal favorite. It's already on the internet, so it's fair game. Then you've got people who are completely oblivious. They've never heard of Second Life. They don't know who Aglaya is, or what Zooby babies are, or that the free Lelutka head they just grabbed is actually someone's stolen work. Most people don't look too hard at where things come from. You download a file, use a product, wear a thing. It works, and that's enough. No villainy. Just ignorance by design. But then there's a third group, the ones who genuinely wish OpenSim could be something more. Who would love to see quality content properly attributed, to have Second Life creators come over and build intentionally for OpenSim grids with support, fair compensation, and respect. The problem is Second Life creators don't want to, and why would they? If your work is going to be ripped, redistributed, and stripped of credit the minute it leaves your hands, why bother? Why build for a place that treats your labor as a buffet, not a collaboration? Until that changes, until OpenSim finds a way to welcome creators without exploiting them, it possibly will stay in this limbo. A strange, fascinating, broken playground, full of potential, but lacking the trust it needs to become something more. And that's the real shame. Because freedom should empower people, not erase the ones who built it. Proudly pixel made. Look, Second Life isn't perfect. There's plenty I question, plenty we grumble about. But I'm still proud to call it home, virtual home. I'm proud to be part of a platform where so many creators, some of whom I'm lucky enough to call friends, are out here building incredible things from scratch. Whether it's their main income or a late-night side hustle, these are people putting in serious hours, real skill, and heart into what they do. They deserve the same respect we give to indie game devs, digital artists, or anyone else crafting virtual experiences that make us feel something. We might live in pixels, but the work behind them is very real. Don't just lurk, talk to me. Are you OpenSim curious? Second Life faithful? Bought something sketchy without knowing? Or maybe you're a creator watching from the sidelines? What's stopping you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Because whether you're Team Second Life, OpenSim Explorer, someone just discovering all this, or just here for the drama, your perspective matters. That's it for today's digital crime scene walkthrough. If you enjoyed this, click the thing, tap the thing, whatever makes the algorithm less grumpy. And if you didn't, may your favorite mesh body come with a broken HUD and a note card written in all caps with 0 punctuation. This has been Pris, dodging grey avatars and pixel heists since 2008. Stay sharp, stay legalish, and remember, if it smells like Maitreya but it's free, it's probably hot, and not in a good way. Catch you in the next one.